Episode 150. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We have Red Sonja. We have Vixx the Hunter from Kickstarter. And we have Lady Mechanika making a comeback. That's amazing. Let's check them out right now. Thank you so much for joining me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, and as well as the occasional board game. My name is Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. In fact, I shouldn't be recording this right now. I'm actually on set tomorrow morning, so I'm going to try to get this done pretty quick. Not sure when I'm going to have a chance to edit it, but I just wanted to get it done. Again, I appreciate you spending time with me. Remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can, and if you can subscribe, please do. Ring the bell on ding ding. Also, I am a board game designer, and I have teamed up with a marvelous cover artist for Marvel DC. He's done some Spawn stuff as well. He just did a couple of things for DC, including a Jon Stewart cover for Green Lantern. Amazing stuff. Anyway, he's done a pile of classic monster art. So we're doing a classic monsters card game. It's going to be launching on Kickstarter in October. You can also get notified. There's a link in the description below where you just have to click it and it'll notify you in October, so you can get advantage of all of the opening day things that we have, and pretty amazing. It also comes with figures. This is the witch figure that we're going to unlock and things like that. Pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, let's jump right into this, but I also want to comment about the fact that I do this not only for people that are collecting comics, but for those of you who aren't, but are fans of comic book movies, television shows, because this is the stuff that may or may not be coming to a screen near you in the future. And this will give you some background about what stories that are going on that they may be adapting in the future. Also, if you want to jump around, there are chapter sections below as well. All right, so let's jump into Red Sonja. This is by Thorin Grombeck. That is a female. Her name is Thorin, but it's a female. So this is the story of Sonja, of course, always scantily clad. The movie that they have coming up, I really hope it gets canned because the casting doesn't look correct. But we have a Kulan Gath has come back from the dead through a portal that he basically manipulated her to open. Another demon also came through, and she ended up inhabiting or having his soul in her because Kulan Gath made a deal. He was throwing the soul back, and she got in the way, and so ended up going in her. Meanwhile, the little girl that she was protecting and her sister, the sister ended up being a woodland goddess that is now fighting against Kulan Gath's like undead army. And the frost giant who's kind of leading that pack has now teamed up. And that was the end of the last issue. And this is what threw me. So this is obviously the shot of her getting the soul. But then it goes kind of off the rails. We find that it's not her getting the soul at all. She's off completely on her own and now getting into fights. And she's having visions and things to that effect that the soul is giving her. All right? So I can't understand. Like, it goes against her character to leave that whole battle. And see, she has a vision of the guy that she's fighting or is getting into altercation with dying. And she says, stay away from cliffs. And she knees him in the groin and walks away. But again, I'm thrown because there's no way that Sonja would walk away from that huge battle that's taking place with Kulan Gath's army. And now she's going to a bar. And then she sees a guy that has a heart attack on while taking a shit. I don't know what's going on here. And then she sees this guy that befriends her that she's going to end up stabbing him in the future. And she can't imagine what the guy might be doing to do that. Meanwhile, Kulangath is doing, his mystic stuff. One of his guys walks in and says, hey, there's, the army's downstairs. They're asking if you're going to be surrendering. And he's like, no, I'm not going to surrender. Just tell them to go to hell. So now we're back in the bar with Sonja, and this fight breaks out between two guys that are part of the mining club or whatever. And, she's amused by the guy that's, telling her what's going on. But how far away is she from this battle where nobody is even paying attention to it? That, I'm talking about with Kulangath. I mean, she went that far that it's, nobody's even hearing about it. So anyway, the guy stabs the other guy in the eye, so he dies. But then, I guess the soul reanimates him or something to that effect, where he's talking, and that might be Kulangath talking to her too. But anyway, she's like, "Just stop it! I'm leaving." And the other guy's like, "I'll come with you because they're calling you a witch," and they have Barbarella coming out. I might have to grab that. Pretty cool. But anyway, so they might call you a witch, so we better ride together. And she slices some guys apart, and, normal Sonja stuff. So, yeah, we got some... The artwork's pretty decent in here. We have some, good cinematic stuff there. And now we go back to where Sonja ends up going. These people have like some kind of a prophecy that she is coming. I have no idea what's going on there, but that's what's happening. This is the direction she's going in. She doesn't know that she's going to them, but they know. So she ends up fighting with the guy that she, saw in the vision that she was going to kill, and he ends up, getting her away from everything so that he can fight her. And she takes his hand right away, and that's the end of that. I love the face in that shot right there. Yeah, the artist does a good job. And for the most part, I like this, except for the fact that I'm thrown by what's going on. The fact that she is acting out of character. But anyway, she ends up killing him just like she did in the vision, which I thought was cool. And I guess she's going towards that thing. But, yeah, I passed this. So this is the only 2 pages that we get with the battle going on. That's the daughter of the Frost Giant. I guess she's in love with the guy that is the soul that Sonja has and is inhabiting. And she's like, oh, yeah, he's lusting after, even though she's tiny. I don't know how that would work. The woodland goddess there, and she says, "You're right. What we do for love, blah blah blah, and I'll continue fighting here. You go find them." But we only get 2 pages of that battle, so I like the issue, but the way it ties in doesn't work, and I'm not sure why Thorin did it this way. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm waiting to see what happens with the next issue, but this issue threw me off. And I'm waiting for this to kind of, because we're on issue 13 now. We're going to have to wrap this up. I kind of feel like this storyline is dragging. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I liked it up to this issue. But we'll see what happens. All right, Lady Mechanika. This is by Joe Benitez, who I've met several times. He signed some stuff for me. This is a Clockwork type of steampunk world where she's a robot. She's a cyborg. I guess she's a steampunk cyborg. And so she has red eyes, all this stuff, and her body's pretty much all gold underneath, with gears and stuff like that. So, and I'm kind of confused by this one too, but this is like the 5th or 6th storyline, at least. Maybe more like 8. But what he does is he does like 3 or 4 issues, and then it stops. And then we don't see her for a year or so. But it's been like 3 or 4 years since Lady Mechanika has made an appearance. So I don't know what's held them up. This one's called The Devil in the Lake, #1. So literally, we're in Siberia and something comes out of the lake. So literally, there's a devil in the lake. But it looks like some kind of a diver. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, so look at the amount of dialogue on this. That's crazy talk. There's a lot of dialogue throughout this entire issue. So that is the Duchess, I believe, of Russia. And she's meeting with Lady Mechanika because her friend that came in from Cambridge wanted to learn about what was going on in the lake. There's a monster or something to that effect. And she decides with her family, so she has a little boy that's like 6 or 7 years old, and her husband go in to investigate this, and then they're not seen of again. But winter's coming, so they don't want to send out a whole group. And this actually made sense where she says, but you can do it. And I get that because she's kind of half a robot, even though her face is human for the skin. So her face would take a lot of damage. But then she says, well, I thought you had your friend that wanted to go with you. And I'm like, didn't you just say that she can make it? Why are you taking another human with you? Especially as somebody that's not of this area. So I thought that was weird. So she says, all right, but we had a falling out, and I don't think he'll come anyway. So she goes to see him. And I think this is referring to the old storyline of when he saved her from her fiancé, who was a ghost or whatever else. But it wasn't going to hurt him, and so she ends up banishing it, and she's kind of blames him for that. Or he blames her for that, I should say. So, and she just kind of walks away and leaves him. So that's the end of that. So she ends up going on her own, but she ends up meeting this like Cossack guy that's going to be her guide or one of her guides into the area. And then there's this guy that has reindeer. He's not Santa Claus. I'm not Santa Claus. In fact, doesn't talk at all. He's a mute. But she also has guards that were sent by the royal Duchess or whatever she is, princess, whatever it may be. So this little group goes out into the mountains, and I guess they have this carriage that is, steam powered. And they said, she says, no, I'll go with the other guy on the sled. And she's like, whee! And even the reindeer look like they're having lots of fun there. I don't know. But anyway, then the carriage ends up getting stuck, and she lifts it out of there. And they're like, wow, she's a witch, she's a witch. And everybody's like, calm down, calm down. So they end up having, staying for the night, and telling stories and things like that. And I think this is where she takes her goggles off. Yeah. So she takes her goggles off, and they see that her eyes are red, and they're like, oh my God, she has red eyes, she's a witch. But she has some kind of a vision of some of the stuff in her past. Like that creature there is from the mutant thing. And then she sees one of the other guys from her past. So she's having these little visions. Yeah, that one with the little mutant kids was that was pretty heartbreaking. So anyway, we get basically the ghosts of her previous adventures. But then she ends up waking up and walking out of the tent. And they're like, okay, we're ready to go. I don't know. Oh, lucky you woke up. But anyway, they ended up on their trip. They ended up finding a cub that the mother was killed by a bear. And he goes to kill the pup because he's like, well, he won't be able to exist without the mother. So we're just putting it out of its misery early. And she's like, no, he's not alone. And she ends up taking the cub with her, which I thought was kind of cool. And that's why you see on the cover that she has a wolf. So they end up going on this very precarious strip of cliff, which ends up breaking up. And the main guy ends up falling, but he gets pulled up because he's still attached to the reindeer. So the reindeer and the other guys help pull him up, which I also thought was cool. So she dives down after one of the guards. So they're like, we can't turn back now, so we might as well just keep going. So they end up finding this cave because they need a place to stay, and the two guards go in to find out what's going on, and they don't come back well. So this tiger ends up, jumping out of the cave and knocks her off the cliff. So the tiger, her, and the cub are all plummeting. And that's the end of the first issue. I would love to see a Lady Mechanika movie. But of course we'll probably get, it's a girl boss thing and nobody will go see it and it'll lose money. I hate the fact that the producers drilled, instead of making good female characters, everybody was all for having female. When I first moved to LA, I was pitching a female superhero, it was female hero, not super, and they refused. Nobody wanted to do anything that was female-led. In fact, my other friend that directed the original Shogun, he went and pitched my World War II thing it was a true story. It's a biography that had a female lead. They refused to do that too because it had a female lead. Then all of a sudden we started getting all these female lead stuff, and I'm like, yes, finally, some of my stuff can probably come back. But they ended up putting such emphasis on the message that everybody got pissed off, and now there's no, like Furiosa, there's no reason Furiosa should have lost money except for the fact that the message was pushed and people are pissed off about it, and now they're not going to see anything that's female-led anymore. Hollywood has screwed up again. I waited all these years for the female hero to come into vogue, and now we're back where we started in 2006. But anyway, so that's the problem with Lady Mechanika, is that probably nobody would go see it because they would see the girl boss and now not go. I'm so pissed off about all these people that pushed the agenda and now have destroyed the female-led film. And if any female writer, producer, director, actor says there's no female-led stuff, blame it on your own sex. Blame it on your own producers and all the female producers, the female writers, all that stuff that wanted to push an agenda instead of doing a good story, because it's their friggin' fault. And they didn't just screw you, they screwed me too. All right, so let's jump into Vixx the Hunter. This is a Kickstarter book, and I really wish on Kickstarter they force the publishers, because I'm one of them, force the publishers to put the amount of pages of the story into the Kickstarter. Because these Kickstarter people don't understand that if you under-deliver, or if you deliver something less than you promised, then I'm not going to keep going with your book anymore. There's a few of them that I do continue, and I see it comes up, I'm like, oh, cool. Pumpkin is one of them. I can't wait for the next issue for that one. The first issue for Vixx the Hunter was okay. It's about a female adventurer with this big nine-tailed wolf, fox, whatever it is. It's orange, so I assume it's a fox. And there wasn't much of a story, but it was enough for me to keep going. But I read this, and it's 18 pages long. 18 pages. That is nothing. And then they give me a backup story of another thing that I didn't ask for. So as far as I'm concerned, I got screwed here. It should have been at least 20 to 30 pages long. For the amount of money I paid, it should have been 30 pages long at least. So I'm not going to continue. There's only one issue left, and I'm not going to get it. Because what? You're going to give me 5 pages next? One thing I did was Dracula 1944. And it came in, and I paid like $8, $9 for it. And it ended up being this big. And it was like 10 pages long. And then, so the guy, every time that thing comes up now, I'm like, delete, delete. I'm not going to get anything from you ever again. And that's how I feel with this, because technically the artwork is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, it doesn't have much of a story. You know, we're captured at the end of the last one. This dude gets hit and doesn't really do much, and she kind of says that he's a waste of life kind of thing. And the tentacles go around the wolf or the fox and end up eating it. And she's like, "No, no, don't eat my fox. That's my job." So she takes the guy's axe, and it looks like it's twice as big as she is. I don't think she'd be able to swing that. But anyway, she ends up swinging it enough to get the fox out of there, and then throws the axe to the guy and says that my fox is hurt, so I'm going to steal your pants. So literally, she rips his pants apart so that she can bandage him up. So she talks, she can understand the fox, so it's almost like Chewbacca kind of situation where she can understand it and he can understand her, but that's about the extent of it. So she goes to the bar, and this elf-like, I can't even say he's elf, something, ends up singing for her, and he gives up his Siokar, or however you say it. That's his denomination or whatever position that he was in as the protector of the village, and she basically gives it to her. I was like, I didn't know what it was when he was saying it, but that's what it is, as the protector of the village. And I guess, yeah, I'd give it up too if I had to go risk my life every time. But anyway, she takes it on, and that's what she ends up doing for the rest of the issue. Again, those swords look twice as big as she is. I don't know if she could wield those. I don't know. It doesn't say she has superheroes at all, superpowers. But anyway, so she goes off against and just fights monsters continuously through the whole rest of the issue, and then she continues to drink and have sex. And that's it. There's no story here until we get to the end. It's just her fighting and having sex continuously. But one of the girls that was, I guess, the girlfriend of the guy who gave up the position, ends up betraying her with the guy with the axe, and they capture the fox, and then they drug her so that she gets captured, and we find out the guy with the axe is behind the whole thing, and I don't know, I guess it's jealousy that's leading him to this. So she gets lifted up in her chains, and they're going to drop her and the fox into the goop. And that's it. That's it. 18 pages. And then we get this whole thing with Hemlock, which I can care less. I think it's about 10 pages long, and it's not what it has nothing to do with the other story. So I'm done with it. So you screwed me over, and now I'm not going to back your book anymore. So we'll make a good movie. I don't know. There's no story, but a girl hunter with a huge fox, that'll sell. As far as I know, that'll sell. Lady Mechanika would make a great movie, no matter which one you picked, which story that you picked. But again, people would see it as a girl boss and not go see it. Now, Red Sonja is a little more well known and is more sword and the sorcery type of situation, and I think that might more draw people out, especially if you put a Conan type character with her or whatever. At least have them in the trailer where it doesn't look like, you know, she's the only one that can do anything. But yeah, that would be I'd go see it. Not with the casting they currently have. I really hope that thing gets shelved. All right, well, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can, and also check out some other videos as well. But also, remember to check out the link below for Mythlord's Classic Monsters, where you can play as your favorite classic monster with amazing artwork, where you build up your monster army, including Bride of Frankenstein and Mummy and the creature from the Black Lagoon, and you can arm them while you're fighting over different locations, like the Mummy's Tomb and the Ghost Ship and Dracula's Castle. Lots of fun. Everything you need is in that one box, so you don't have to worry about collecting little packs continuously. All right, that's it for me again. Remember to give me that like, and if you can't subscribe, please do. I really greatly appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode. All right, have a great week. Bye.